Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and this gun went from lame to insane. Is that a catchy enough title for you? Okay, so really, I was looking for an interesting title and thumbnail that would grab your attention, and I assume it worked. But there is some logic behind this. I promise you that I'm not clickbaiting you. Although some people may disagree with me, as that's just the nature of opinions, of course. We can't and shouldn't, in fact, all like the same things. It comes down to playstyle. But for me, and those like me, the Lewis gun in Battlefield 5 is really good. And this was a huge surprise because in Battlefield 1, I thought it was, well, you should be able to guess this part, lame. I really didn't think it had a dominant enough strength to warrant being regularly selected over other options. Because BF1 was stacked with fantastic LMGs, the Parabellum, the LMG08, the M1917, the list goes on, there were so many. But in Battlefield 5, the support landscape is different. There are less LMGs to choose from, and shotguns and MMGs now fill a lot of the available slots, which has provided this new Lewis gun with the opportunity to redeem itself. Now obviously, as stated earlier, not all opinions are the same. Some people do like the Lewis gun in BF1, but it's not a particularly common feeling. Stats wise, the most popular version of the Lewis gun in BF1 is the suppressive, generally sitting around the upper middle of the pack for usage time. Then you have the low weight, which is deeper in the middle of the pack, and the optical, which is one of the least used LMGs in the entire game. So basically, the Lewis gun wasn't exactly making waves in BF1, and to be fair, I don't see all that many of them in BF5, probably due to the sheer amount of people using the KE7 and the MMGs. But I'm telling you that you should probably give this thing a chance if you haven't already. Like a proper chance. Don't just throw it on for 5 minutes without specializations. Not all of you will like it, obviously, but I guarantee there's a good chunk of you out there that could really get into this weapon if you get used to it and set it up in a manner that works for you. If you're holding on to those negative connotations of the BF1 version, then you should really try to let them go, and I'll explain why. Currently, I think the Lewis gun is the closest you can get to a traditional feeling LMG. It's capable at essentially any range without being just stupidly broken and deadly at any one range, and with a high ammo capacity. I mean, for example, the Bren gun shoots more slowly and yet still has less ammo available. Don't just let that pass you by. I think that's a really important point to consider for a weapon of this nature. At the time of making this video, there are only 4 LMGs in the game, and the Lewis gun is positioned right in that comfortable middle zone of being strong regardless of situation or circumstance. It's well balanced without the obvious downsides of the other 3 options, going for overall versatility rather than one defining strength which is mitigated by other weaknesses. The KE7 has just 25 rounds and fires at 568 or 638 rounds per minute, depending on your specialization choices, so it can tear people up at close range and stretches out into the mid-range without the bipod if well managed, but it's quickly out of ammo and is trickier to use at longer ranges. All of that then applies to the FG42 in a more intense manner, with only 20 rounds available per reload and firing at 670 rounds per minute with even worse stability. And then the Bren gun, as mentioned earlier, fires slower at 514 rounds per minute and still only has 30 rounds available. So it's more of a mid to long range option, but still doesn't exactly have a huge ammo capacity. Whereas the Lewis gun has 47 rounds available per reload and fires at a healthy 540 rounds per minute. Now, does that not sound like a really strong middle ground to you when compared with the other options? As good as the K7 may be, for example, in a game where the semi-auto rifles are so good, you can easily be at a disadvantage a lot of the time if you're trying to be mobile with the K7 and certainly the FG42 due to the sheer size and range of engagements of the maps in Battlefield 5, whereas BF1 felt like it had a lot more close quarters sections to the maps and just wasn't quite as vast. That is, unless you just want to go prone a huge percentage of the time and use the bipod, which some of you may do, and therefore, I guess cool, use whatever works for you. But I don't want to do that, and I know that many of you listening don't want to do that either. So please try the Lewis gun, because it simply doesn't have that problem to the same extent. It's manageable at mid to longest range while standing if you can control the recoil well, which already isn't too extreme in my opinion, and its rate of fire is actually only 28 rounds per minute slower than the K7's default fire rate without the light bolt specialization equipped. Plus it still has a bipod if you need or want to use one anyway, something that the Lewis gun optical didn't have in Battlefield 1, which is probably why it was one of the least popular LMG variants in that game. Why use it if it isn't stronger than some other options at close range and doesn't have a bipod for long range? And that concept simply highlights just how much different the same weapon can be from one game to the next. Hence lame to insane. There are no variants in Battlefield 5. You simply pick your weapon and make it how you like it. So speaking of making it how you like it, as you've seen in the footage, I favour the mid-range scope on the Lewis gun, as I do on a lot of weapons to be honest with you, but it really feels like it pairs perfectly here. Decent recoil, a good amount of ammo to play with, and set up nicely to engage people at mid-range, which you'll be doing a lot in this game. So the 3x magnification feels just perfect to me, zoomed in enough to help for longer ranges, but not so much that it's a huge detriment at close quarters. And to add to the concept of setting the weapon up how you like it, maximising strengths and advantages over other options, etc., there's a specialization that allows you to extend the ammo capacity even beyond 47 rounds. And not just by a little, it can go up to 97 rounds per reload. Do you see what I'm saying about this being the closest you can get to a traditional LMG kind of feel? Now I don't have that specialization equipped for the footage in this video, and I'll go through what I am using currently in a second, but I'm certainly keen to have a play around with it, and it's absolutely worth keeping in mind for some of you out there who enjoy what a large ammo capacity can provide for you. But let's talk about the specializations I am currently using. So here we are, and yeah, I'm only rank 6 with this gun and I'm still that excited about it. That's how much I love this at the minute. So basically I'm currently using quick aim so I can aim in faster, ported barrel so there's less horizontal recoil, improved accuracy in aim fire when stationary, barrel bedding, and then recoil buffer, your weapon recoils less upwards. So I just feel like this makes it quite versatile, run and gun as much as it can be. But you can of course set it up differently. High velocity bullets if you want to be more stationary, I guess, if you want to hit longer range targets more. Then slings and swivels, but you're probably going to be using extended magazine for this side more so. This is what I'm talking about. This is how you get it to 97 rounds, which I'm very keen to try out soon. That could be insane, possibly paired up with the improved bipod. So you can just lie down and spray for days. It's not how I really use this weapon or any weapon, but just keep it in mind, this is how I have mine set up. You can do yours differently. Either way, it's epic. Oh my days, just realized that makes it big. Oh yeah, it makes the what's drum magazine bigger. Drum? But whatever it's called, can't remember. It makes it bigger. Anyway, let's carry on. Now the one downside for me is that the Lewis gun doesn't have one specific specialization that I want to use. And this shows that DICE have actively tried to balance out the weapons in this class, which I appreciate, but I really wish the Lewis gun had lightened stock. I love to be mobile pretty much regardless of the weapon I'm using. I like to get around, I like to strafe, I like to outgun people, and I know there are other people out there that like to play in the same manner. So what I do to achieve this is try to use quick aim and lighten stock so I can aim in faster and move faster while in ADS, making for better strafing and more responsive aiming in a gunfight via simply moving my feet. But the Lewis gun doesn't have lightened stock, which is a real shame. It's the one thing holding this gun back. But that said, I can get used to not having it after a while, and it's still a damn fine weapon in many other ways. I think DICE just didn't want this to become the does everything option for the support class, which is probably a good thing. Overall, I really like the Lewis gun. It won't be for everyone. If you want to just run around at close quarters, then the K7 or the FG42 will be better. If you want to just go prone and laser people, then go for an MMG. But if you want to be mobile, reliable, and versatile, please try the Lewis gun. You're missing out on something potentially fantastic if you don't. If you happen to connect with it, then you'll be so glad you gave it a chance. It provides you with capabilities that the other options simply don't. This isn't the Lewis gun of Battlefield 1. It's a genuinely great gun in BF5 with stats to back it up. It's truly gone from lame to insane. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like the Lewis gun? Or are you keen to try it out now if you haven't already? I'm going to play out the rest of my footage with some background music here for the rest of the video, as I know some of you tend to really enjoy that. So thank you for being here with me for a few minutes today. If you enjoyed the video, it would be great if you could hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and join my Discord server in the description and my pinned comment. I'll throw up the board of awesome at the end of the video as well for the epic people who support the channel on Patreon. And with that all said, I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters.